Hey, Scott Spears here, along with you for yet another edition of The Exchange. Joining me this week, 40th Treasurer of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, and youngest delegate from the state of Ohio, I believe second youngest delegate in the country that went to the Democratic Convention back in August in Chicago, Pearson, senior at Harding High School this year. So glad to have him with us. This is the first episode of The Exchange we've done. Oh, by the way, Matt Morgan will be back next week. But look for him on at our coverage from the Little Brown Jug, which Mary Ellen will be going with us again this year. Mary Ellen, the Little Brown Jug is so much fun.
It is, and I'm so glad that I get to go with you.
We had a lot of fun last year, and we'll have a lot of fun this year. 79th year for the Little Brown Jug, and 56th year that our friend Roger, the voice, has been doing it.
He is so good. That's why I want to go. I want to hear him again.
I want to hear him, and he very kindly 3 years ago started a tradition. When he's done, after he's called the last race, he comes over and does an interview with us, and that's a good way to end the Little Brown Jug. So we look forward to that. Stay tuned for those episodes. Christian, it's good to have you back. We've had you on once since the debate. You brought the signs in that you had at the debate.
Yes.
But you haven't been on with Mary Ellen.
No,
not the debate, it's the convention, excuse me. You haven't been on with Mary Ellen since the convention. So just catch people up in kind of a short order way here of how the convention was.
It was just a great culmination of all of the energy that has been out there for the Democratic ticket. I mean, just the electricity in that room every night was, incredible. You had Hillary Clinton, the Obamas, you had Walz, Harris. Yeah. It was great, and I think it showed a really clear contrast of, the two parties and their different plans for our country.
It was very interesting. The night Kamala accepted the nomination, Mary Ellen and I were doing, Mary Ellen did a speech. I introduced her at the Kamala Harris watch party for Women for Harris and Marion, and that night I pulled up a picture. I'd forgotten that in '96 the Democratic Convention was in Chicago, and there's a great picture, I wish I had it here tonight, of Mary Ellen and John Glenn in the delegation for Ohio. Yeah. What a fun picture that is, Mary Ellen.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
What are your memories? '96, you were Treasurer of the United States, you were in office, you were supporting the re-election of your guy, Bill Clinton, who had sought you out for that position. You're there with probably the most famous politician from Ohio of the time, John Glenn. You're in the Ohio delegation. What was it like in Chicago, the big city, and what do you remember about '96?
Well, what was really important about that, I rode on the train with Bill Clinton to Chicago, and we stopped along the way and made speeches. And when he was taking somebody through the train, after we'd made a speech, he told me that I had made a really good speech. And I'm telling you, you don't know what that does for you.
To have Bill Clinton tell you.
Yes, he said that was a really good speech. And what I had said partly was that I had seen that train with Carter on it when he came to Marion, and that I was riding on that same train now with the president, and what an experience that was for me. Yeah.
Now, if somebody was to do research on you, Mary Ellen, because I'm sure they will, or probably currently are, if they would want pictures of that train ride or the convention in '96, or copies of your speeches, where would they go to get them?
I don't think there's any speeches or any pictures. I just went through all my pictures looking for something, and I didn't see any pictures of being on that train, and we should have. But what was the last question?
At the convention that year.
Oh, yeah. Those pictures are good. There's a lot of things, though, I didn't get pictures of that I should have.
Because you're working at the time.
Well,
busy.
You are, and it's just like in the parade the other night. I didn't get a picture of that, and then somebody showed me one they had on Facebook. I said, "Can you give me a picture of that?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll get you a picture." But you're in the event and you don't get any pictures.
It's funny you bring that parade up. Mary Ellen was the Grand Marshal of the parade this year, and the picture that God bless him, the Marion Star used.
I didn't see what they used.
Oh, man, thank goodness, Mary Ellen.
It was a bad one?
Well, it wasn't bad. I mean, you look good in all the pictures, but of all the pictures they could have taken and used, you saw it, you're not looking at the camera. You're looking in the opposite direction.
Is that right?
It says, here's the Grand Marshal, and you're got your back to the camera. Now, come on. Now, they couldn't find a picture with you staring at the camera. I don't think they could see. I think they could. Your granddaughter was looking at the camera, but that was about it.
I saw her take the picture, and I was looking right at her.
I'm sure she had some.
She had some.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah. Well, why did they pick that one? I don't know.
It is interesting, though. If you ever need I know you got the one there, but people were sending me pictures who were along the parade route, so I'll send you the ones I have as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was, and they turned out great. And I thought that day you wore red, and it really showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then I saw a picture of when I was Grand Marshal back in 1993. I was Grand Marshal of the parade, but I did have a picture of that one.
And you were in the middle.
Huh?
You were in the middle of the parade. Is that the one where you ended up in the middle?
Yeah, because I was late.
So this...
I had gone to see President Clinton and at an event in Columbus, and we got mixed up and didn't get back until the middle of the parade.
Stuck in traffic on 23 coming back from Columbus. Go figure.
We got mixed up when I was with President Clinton. We were going I was supposed to be with him, and he was taking us different places in all this mass of aisles. I can't. It was very hard and I couldn't find my way to the car, and and it was just a bad situation.
And you know, that's tough though, because I'll tell you, even this time we got to the parade at the time they wanted us to, but being in front, you just go. We didn't sit there at all. We got in the parade and it was moving.
That's right.
So it was something.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun. A lot of good weather that day.
Yeah.
You couldn't beat that.
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful day.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the debate, I did want to bring this up though. Mary Ellen, this coming November will be the 55th anniversary of the start of your political career. You were elected in November of 1969.
Right.
55 years. Half century.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What do you think back on 55 years ago?
Oh, my life was totally different.
Well, you said on our last program that was your most memorable election night. 55 years ago this year.
Yeah, it was. I really, I was really nervous.
and did it all in 25 years, I think.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Does it seem like 55 years ago?
Yeah.
It does? It seems like it was 55
it was
years.
It
was a while ago.
I look totally different. I've got a picture of when I was sworn in on the school board, and I always make a joke out of it. I said, I haven't changed.
Now, is that in the museum?
Yeah.
Oh, and people...
Oh, no, that isn't. No, I kept that.
You kept that out? Oh, you kept it out.
Well, they didn't want it.
They didn't want it. Now, I do want to mention, though, your museum, you had said the week of the popcorn parade that you had taken a group through.
Oh, yes, 90 people.
How was that?
They were so much fun. It was seniors from that group was from Cincinnati and some of the other states around our southern border there. They were all very interesting people.
What do 90 people want to know?
Well, yeah, they wanted to hear. Some of them remembered me. I start out talking about the Guinness Book of Records, and then I start out talking about the $20 bill for John Glenn. And then it goes from there, whatever I want to do. But they pretty much listen, and then they'll ask me questions. Yeah.
What's the most common question?
They really want to know about my signature, how I did that. That always comes up, and then I'll tell you what they always ask is what's the difference between the Secretary of the Treasury and the Treasurer. They don't understand that. In fact, when I was being considered for that job, somebody said, well, what are they going to do with Lloyd Benson? And I said, it's not the same job.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was the Secretary of the Treasury at the time.
Yeah, he was, yeah. And he was a delight. I really liked him.
Well, Christian, the debate happened last
Debate
week.
did happen.
What do you make of this debate? Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, apparently going to be the only one, but who knows? There could be another one.
It didn't. I don't think it changed a lot of people's minds. I think it certainly solidified Democrats in their belief that Kamala Harris, the prosecutor, could take on Donald Trump, the convicted felon. And I think it was. I mean, the difference could not have been more clear. You saw her really get under his skin at times. I think the most, sort of outrage she got was when she attacked the size of his rallies, and just. The question was, I forgot what the question was on, but it was on something really substantive, and just Trump completely dodged it. Now, what I will say, and maybe it's just me paying more attention and getting older, but I think both candidates could have done a much better job of answering the questions posed to them. I think if politicians if they didn't cling to their talking points as much, and they branched out, if they weren't afraid to do that, I think it would, kind of quell the concerns of a lot of people.
You know what's interesting? I'm not going to say who it was because that would be rude. But when you mention talking points, Mary Ellen and I were at an event and a lot of people were speaking. And I don't know if this person meant to say it, but as they were giving their speech at the end, they said, those are my talking points. And I thought, that is the weirdest thing to say in a speech, even if they are, which they are to some degree if you're running for office. Why would you say that?
You keep it quiet.
You keep it quiet.
Well, I mean, that's something I might do. Like if that's like sometimes when I'm canvassing, I'll say those are my thoughts because
Well, that's good. That's all right there.
Well, but the person will leave you with an awkward silence, which I hate when they just sort of just kind of stand there.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of say it as a joke just to get them to say something. So
yeah.
That could have been it. It could have been a nervous sort of quip.
What's it like canvassing in Trump country?
You really have to approach it as you are there purely just to seek to gather information. And because you'll figure out pretty quickly where they stand.
Yeah.
The ones the very few, I knocked on probably 60 doors last Sunday. Probably 4 or 5 answered and 3 were willing to talk. So it's, you cast a incredibly wide net and then you get few people willing to talk to you and way fewer who actually agree with you. But you have to come at it from a neutral point of view. You want to hear what they have to say, and then when they say something that is not right or you think you can sort of change their mind, that's where you kind of insert yourself.
What do they say?
A lot of people say, unfortunately, that I kind of ask them what they think about both U.S. Senate candidates, for instance, and they say, I don't like either of them, but I'm voting for the Republican. That was one. Another was, I know nothing about either of them, but
do they actually say Moreno's name, or do they say the Republican?
They say the Republican.
See, this is where we are.
Really?
The down ticket vote is a real thing.
I know, and I mean, you would, I'm just going to use the election for president of city council last year. I think, those are 2 wildly different candidates. One with, who was in charge of, the YMCA, people knew her. Others, not so much. She ran a good campaign. I don't know if she ran a good campaign. Wasn't on the ground, but she had a great message. People knew who she was, and she lost by 14 points.
Yeah.
So yes, that down ticket thing in this new era of Trump for the last 8 or 9 years, it's.
But it wasn't always that way. I mean, I've covered local politics for a while. Certainly Mary Ellen's been involved in it, and she's covered it with me for the last 15 years, really, since she moved back to Marion. It has not always been that way locally. What people were doing nationally did not always trickle down to the local level.
No, that's true.
But it does now. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's a prediction, but it could be wrong. And I only say it because it's what I've seen in every election in the last 8 years, is that whatever amount Trump wins Marion County by, you are going to see the prosecutor and Todd Anderson, both Republicans, they will be within 5% of whatever Trump wins Marion County by, and will probably propel them to victory. Not because they're the better candidate, but that's how people vote now. who am I voting for? The Republican. They don't even know Moreno's name. That's what they do. What has changed, Mary Ellen? You won elections when Republicans were winning the presidency.
Well, I think it's the leadership in the Democratic Party at the state level and locally.
Well, I would say locally, it would be, you would have to devote your entire life.
But where are they?
They are, they aren't here.
Yeah, but we had a Democratic sheriff for 16 years, Tim Bailey. We had a Democratic mayor for 16 years, Scott Schertzer. This is not prehistoric times. This is in the last 5 years. City council was Democratic 4 years ago. We've had a long-term Democratic city audit or county auditor. We had a city treasurer in Tom Panet who was Democratic up until recent years. There were a lot of Democrats in office in recent times.
Well, I was actually kind of curious about that the other day. So I went on the Board of Elections website, and in the last several races for auditor and treasurer at the county level, Republicans didn't field a candidate in most of those. So even though, there was no Democrat who ran for, or there's no Republican who ran for treasurer in 2020, there was no Republican who ran for auditor in 2022. I think some of that has been luck, but it would require because the people running the local Democratic Party now, they have jobs, like they have families they have to support, and if balancing work and then going and knocking on a bunch of doors, fielding candidates, Democrats, they don't want to do that because it would be a really hard job to do. I mean, you see that not only in the leadership, but we were only running one candidate for countywide office this year. So it would just be an incredible undertaking.
But in 2016, when Trump won the presidency, won Ohio by a lot, and won Marion County by even more than he won Ohio, that same election, Tim Bailey won his race for sheriff. He was a Democrat. People didn't used to just go R, 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 R. There was, do I know this person? What happened to that?
Well, both the auditor and the treasurer races, they didn't think they could beat them. That's the reason they didn't run anybody. But I tell you, we don't have. I don't know about some of the things that are going on democratically here for some strange reason. I had Swartz that's running on the ticket. I think is he from Morrow County?
Yes, he's running for state senate.
State senator, or no, state legislator.
One of the two.
State legislator. Yeah. He is a go-getter, and this gal that's running for our district, 86, I did not know she was running until I went to the county fair. Why didn't I know it sooner than that? I mean, things are not just being put out the way they should for information.
Well, I think on another point, I think Swartz has run several times, so he knows how to be a candidate.
But he's good. He's good.
I'm sure that probably comes with experience, and our candidate for the state house, I think this is her first time running for office.
Yeah, but he is out there giving speeches. I have never heard her give a speech, and he's got a lot of get up and go. You got to have that. She doesn't have it.
Well,
yeah.
I think that's just what a lot of candidates just don't know the right places to go. They don't know. A lot of them
that's
don't know how
true,
to give good speeches.
But they need help from somebody. Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, that's where the leadership is wrong. Yeah, they need to help them.
Will any of them win, Christian? Will Tammy win against Jim Jordan? Will Verbos win against Richardson? Will Schwartz win? Do they have a shot?
Who knows? I mean, all of the trends, of course, say no, but
I wouldn't want to run in a presidential year right now.
No, and I mean, all the way up to Sherrod Brown, that's going to hurt him, especially, Republican groups are putting in tons of money. But if Democrats can run, if they can run better candidates at the local level and sort of chip away, because that's what Democrats in North Carolina, they elected a new chair of the party, and her deal was run a candidate in every single race for the state legislature. And, that seems to be going well for them. If you can chip away at the Republican margin in very rural areas like this, then you're going to do something for your party. There needs to be a coordinated effort between state party and people in the local party, mobilizing local parties to, really get people involved and get good candidates.
I'll tell you, I don't want to say anybody's name, but I'll tell you something that's changed amongst Democrats in the state, is that, listen, if somebody wants to talk to you, you should talk to them, no matter who they are, whether it's a constituent, whether it's somebody in the media, when you are the party that's not on the winning side of things, you don't have the luxury to pick and choose and be timid. If you're timid, if you've got a problem with these things, you should not be doing it.
That's right.
And they act so fragile now. Don't contact me. Don't come this way. Don't do that. Well,
is that candidates that are running?
There have been, not all.
Well,
not all.
But that is not the way to run for office.
Well, I mean, we've seen this sort of. Typically, like the people who want debates, the candidates who want debates, they're the ones who are losing. It's not true at the presidential level, but a lot of state and local races, you see the losing candidates, they want to talk. So that is surprising. But so I would just think if you, especially in such a big year for Ohio, you have things like gerrymandering on the ballot. You have Sherrod Brown on the ballot. You want to you want your message out there as much as possible.
I'll tell you, the redistricting in a presidential year, I don't know about that. That seems like a bad choice.
I think Republicans really pulled a fast one by making their no on issue 1 all about stopping gerrymandering. I think they have. I mean, it's just sort of ridiculous what they're trying to pull.
Well, so you obviously think Kamala won the debate. Most people seem to feel that way. How do you think it did her any good in the polls?
I'm just introduce her because I think I've been saying this since the start. Once the polls will start to shift and enthusiasm will grow as the country learns who she is, and I think it achieved that. I've heard this term on a lot of talk shows is to just do no harm. I don't think she did any harm. So.
No, and I think, it was interesting because the cover of the USA Today, the day of the debate, it was her debate to win or lose. That the Trump people are all in on him no matter what he does. But if she had a bad performance, it could have hurt her. If she had a good one, that would be beneficial to her. And I think clearly she had a good one. And I think that's probably what did happen. Now,
I would agree.
Interesting things from that night. We, in Ohio, got recognized by the former president, Donald Trump. Springfield, Ohio, they're eating dogs and cats. Since then, it's been about a week and a day. Over 33 bomb threats at this point of schools over there, and a lot of not nice things going on with the Haitians. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but our governor, DeWine, is stepping in on this one. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine on Sunday denounced claims promoted by former President Donald Trump that Haitian immigrants are eating dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio, calling them hurtful and not helpful. Take a listen to this from the Republican governor. There's a lot of garbage on the internet, and this is a piece of garbage that was simply not true. There's no evidence of this at all, DeWine told ABC's This Week. These are positive influences on our community in Springfield, and any comment about that otherwise I think is hurtful and not helpful to the city of Springfield and the people of Springfield. Well, hey, there you go. Mike DeWine standing up for the people of Springfield.
Well, I mean, it's, he can do what he wants, but at the end of the day, just he doesn't have any credibility with, the far right wing of his party, which, you've seen Republicans from basically all over the spectrum who are, not as far as Trump. They're really denouncing this. You've seen all of the Republican officials in Springfield, obviously, they're just condemning it. And, good. I'm glad that that's what the governor is doing, but, that doesn't really do anything with
and he went there.
Trump people. Yes, he did. And I just, when Trump inevitably goes, I don't think anything good will come of it. I mean, kids can't go to school. Like, there's a university there, all their public schools, they just can't go because of, bomb threats, and in this age of school shootings, God only knows. So
Trump in Springfield, will he draw a big crowd? I think he will.
Of course. I mean, he's in that region. I'm honestly, don't know where Springfield is quite on the map, but the the western part of the state, heavy Trump country, especially when you move into those, kind of suburbs around Cincinnati and north. That's deep Trump country. So, I mean, he's the former president of the United States. He'll pull a big crowd anywhere.
See, this is what I think in the end could hurt Sherrod Brown on the whole.
Yes.
Is that if Trump comes to one of the liberal areas of the state, like Cleveland or Toledo, places like that, if he comes in right before the election, much like the gubernatorial election, it's swung it the other way.
I'm afraid that would be the case.
When it's only 2%,
Yeah.
that's not a whole lot of minds to change.
No, it's not. And this will be a close election, but at the end of the day, it is. Like I just said, and like you just said, people don't know who Bernie Moreno is,
and don't care.
I suppose you're right, but Trump will draw a big crowd anywhere he goes, and people who like him will do anything that he says, which is just why. What we are doing right now in the campaign is so essential. We're trying to talk to Republican voters. Even if they say no, they're gonna remember, this person from who's supporting Sherrod Brown. They came to my door. Unlike Bernie Moreno, he has an army of paid canvassers.
Oh, does he?
Yes. So, we're getting out canvassed because we're reliant on volunteers coming.
I didn't know that.
I know I get the material from him. I haven't gotten one Sherrod Brown piece of material yet.
Oh my God, I get a letter every day.
Really? No, I don't get the but I get the Bernie Moreno flyers.
Yeah.
I've gotten probably 7 or 8 of them, and they're high dollar flyers.
I've never gotten them.
Well, I mean, they've got a bunch of money to burn, so why not do that?
It's super PAC money. It doesn't come from his campaign.
I'm anxious to hear how much both of them have spent.
I know that Republican super PACs are spending a lot. I mean, as they do.
Yeah.
That's the only number I'm familiar
Yeah,
with.
but Sherrod has spent a lot too.
Yes, and
He started way early, and he was gone all through the summer.
started way early.
Yeah.
And something that I've learned that is different. There are different phases of the campaign in terms of talking to voters. Like I said, his campaign is in the persuasion phase where they're trying to talk to Republican voters. Tim Ryan never did that. And his whole thing was reaching out to Republicans.
You know what he did? He leaned more towards the Republicans than he did the Democrats. That hurt him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think, Sherrod Brown has done a great job of, because he's had a Republican base statewide for a long time. Tim Ryan never had that. So he's been to places like, Galion, Marion, Mansfield. He was born in Mansfield. So he just has connections in all of these places.
Mm-hmm.
Does he draw crowds there, though?
Well, I mean, he's he's not running for president, so that's...
No, but I mean, senator for a long, long time.
Are we talking age again?
No. But people know him. I don't think that the Democrats are saying I'm voting for the Democrat. I think they're saying I'm voting for Sherrod Brown.
That's something in 22 I wish the Democrats would have done this. Do 1 or 2 just big rallies before the election. Even though, you try and bring in a national figure, I don't know if there are any who are super popular in Ohio. Bring in Obama again. Someone to really...
Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle.
Not in Ohio. If you could bring in Hillary anywhere else, but Ohio, she lost by 8 points.
Did your appreciation for Hillary?
It went through the roof.
Yeah.
There you go.
I thought so.
I think I said this.
Well, you did.
On the last one the last time I was here. I think she gave one of my favorite speeches.
Yes.
Perhaps it was because it was the first big one, and she came out. It was kind of unexpected.
Yeah.
That's when I realized I was there, as the crowd just shot up in excitement.
She just walked out.
Yeah.
And there she was.
Yeah.
And I think that night she did get the biggest applause because Biden, they really put him on too late that night.
Yeah.
Well, and her I thought her speech was better than
And she gave a good
Bill's.
speech.
And
It was better than Bill's.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a long night just because there were some security issues and it took the delegates a really long time to get in. So I'm sure that hurt.
We got to take a break, but we're coming back. We're going to talk about the Taylor Swift endorsement. We're going to talk about what people were searching on debate night. And we do have the items sent to us by our friendly Forrest. It is debate season, and you can get those items on the internet. We'll be back after this. Hey, Scott Spears back here with 40th President of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow and Christian Pearson, talking about the election 2024 coming up in just under 50 days. And we have some items from ourfriendlyforest.com that they've sent us. They've done that every election cycle since 2012, every presidential cycle, except 2020 when I think COVID knocked that out. But Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris after the last presidential debate, right after the debate was over, gave a big long statement, called herself a childless Catwoman, showed a picture of her with her cat, Benjamin Button, and Taylor Swift's endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris on Instagram drove at least 337,826 visitors to vote.gov, a government website that directs users to state-specific voting information. How about that, Christian?
You know, I wish she would have done it before the debate or after. I don't think that night it would have gotten far more traction in the media if she had done it not that night, because you know it was drowned out by Kamala Harris's performance. So, but I mean, it was great. I mean, I don't think it was unexpected.
Do you think they say celebrity endorsements don't mean a whole lot. When George Clooney went after Joe Biden, they said, well, celebrity endorsements don't mean anything. We're going to keep celebrities out of the Democratic convention, although Oprah was there. Does she mean anything?
I think she means a lot to a lot of younger people. A lot of people who really just would not be interested in politics. I mean, because just a lot of young people are not interested in politics. You know, they couldn't really care one way or the other. But she is, you know, by her voicing this opinion, she's, whether or not her fans agree with her, they've sort of dropped. She sort of piqued their interest.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
I've been curious, and I've been wanting to ask you how your friends at Harding have reacted to your being in your position.
Well, a lot of them just think it's cool. I mean, they like it. They don't know much about it, and
yeah.
You know, when we actually, because I try not to talk about it.
Yeah, right.
You know, or at least the really nitty gritty politics of it. But the ones there's just a lot of Republicans. Like I saw some kid, probably freshman or sophomore, was wearing a Dumb and Dumber shirt with a picture of Joe and Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
Just like dumb, goofy stuff like that. But you know, a lot of people, you know, they think it was cool. But you know, like right after Trump got shot, you know, just the people on social media, they were all reposting the picture of him with the fist up in the air. So, I mean, the ones who, you know, normally just don't really voice opinions. So, you know, I feel like a lot of them, you know, they follow after their parents and are Republicans.
Yeah,
some are really vocal
do.
Republicans. But, you know, I mean, just on the level of me going to Chicago, a lot of people think it's cool. I mean, I get still, like, some teacher asked me, you know, yesterday, you know, what the convention was like.
Yeah.
So just, you know,
yeah.
A lot of people are just still
They
really interested.
should let you tell about it in class, you know. That'd be great, you know.
Now, I want to get to these items so we don't run out of time. We're going to come back and talk more about what's going on. I'm sure we'll have time. But now I want to make sure to preface this. Normally, there are items from both the Republican and the Democratic side. But I was told this year, we had the CEO of the company on Friday it was, and he said because Kamala Harris got in rather late, and because, to his own words, there isn't a whole lot of material there to make a novelty of. There are no Harris items, but these are the big selling Trump items this season for the election. And these are not campaign items. These don't come from the campaign. Remember, again, these are novelty items that people are selling at My Friendly Forest. Now, apparently, cards are a big seller. I don't know, these things retail, I think, all for in the $20 to $30 range. Now, the first one here, Our Friendly Forest, again, is the company, ourfriendlyforest.com. It's a birthday card. They think of everything. It's a birthday card here, and basically, on the front of it, hopefully you can see this, it says, "Making your birthday great again." It's got a seal on it.
Yeah.
And then, if you open it up, here we go. Now, everybody get ready for this. If you open up the birthday card, you get this.
Earlier this week, I understand you marked another important milestone. I know everyone here joins me in wishing you a very happy birthday. Happy birthday.
That's what you get. for the Trump birthday card from our. That's a real novelty
You
there.
say it's about $30?
About 30, and it's selling well. Apparently, they can't
Is
keep
it?
these in stock.
Huh.
Now, because the holidays are coming up, there's a Christmas card, very similar, making your Christmas great again, from our friendly forest. And here we go. You open up the card. You can't make this stuff up.
I just wanted to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. We say Christmas again.
He's got
very proudly.
Melania in that
Have a
one.
He
great
does.
year.
Yeah.
It'll be an
That's bold.
incredible year.
Huh?
That's bold.
And
to
the
have
star
Melania.
lit up.
Star did
Yeah,
light
it
up.
The star
did.
lit up on the tree.
Yeah.
So that's the Trump Christmas card, and they expect that to be a big seller at at holiday time. So there's that. Now, the next item, we've got 3 left here. Now this has been actually available since 2016. This is kind of where this all started. It's the Trump pen, which you can get. And what you do is you just push on his head.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.
So it's the Trump pen. This is where it all started. There were actually Trump and Hillary pens in 2016. The Donald Trump pen, Mary Ellen. Did you ever think?
It says this pen is huge. Yeah.
And I don't know how long this thing writes, but there you are. Now this is an interesting item. I guess if you're a big fan of Trump, there's the Trump doll. And again, they all talk, of course. You reach in there and you push the button.
Basically, all I've done is keep my promise.
And he says a bunch of things. There are a bunch of things this doll says.
Fox and Friends in the morning, they're very honorable people.
Fox and Friends.
Oh.
So
yeah.
it's the Donald Trump doll. Now
What does it
this,
say back here?
I think it's all the sayings that he says.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Christian, what do you make of these items before we go to the last one here? They sell very well. Now this one I'm sure retails for more than $30.
I mean, I bet they do. Like when I see those, right before Waldo on 23, with the light, there was some giant Trump tent. Those people who run those tents make a lot of money in an area like this. So, of course, this stuff is popular. It's a very, Trump would say, he claims he's a good businessman. This was a smart business move by this company to come out with these items.
Did you get a lot of things at the convention?
Yes,
I bet you did.
I unfortunately no talking dolls though.
No talking dolls.
But a lot of signs.
Made this guy a millionaire. And by the way, he won't say who he's going to vote for, which I think is very interesting. Now, this is the last item.
Who doesn't say?
The owner of this company.
Oh, he didn't?
No, he won't. Because he says he doesn't want to offend anybody on either side.
It's like you.
That's right. We're in the same boat. Well, it's funny because when I was he said, you don't say that. He had chat GBT. What is that thing?
Chat GPT.
Chat GPT. He chat GPT'd me to try to figure out my politics.
Oh.
And on there, apparently, it says that I don't share my political view. I thought, well, there you go. That's good to know.
Yeah.
You don't want to offend anybody, heaven knows. But this item, he apparently is one of the best-selling items. Now, this is, even if you don't like somebody, I think this is a clever idea. I have to say this is a clever idea. It's the Trump Magic Ball. It's the Presidential Predicto, is what this is called. Now, this is fascinating that somebody actually thought this up. Now, what you do, now I got to take it out of the box to actually show you how this thing works. But it's called the Presidential Predicto, and it's based on the old Magic 8 balls. Mary Ellen, remember the old Magic 8 ball?
Yeah.
You'd ask it a question and it would tell you an answer.
Yeah.
So
do I. I'm not that young.
you don't. Well, you remember the 8 ball?
Yeah.
Do you have an 8 ball?
Not anymore.
Are you going to have a Presidential Predicto?
Maybe.
It's Donald Trump with a some kind of thing here, but you got to turn this one on. Now here's what you ask it a question, and we'll see how this works. Will you win the presidential election? Well, maybe it's not going to work.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Do you want to ask it a?
That's funny.
Isn't that the most bizarre thing?
Yeah.
I think that's a clever idea, isn't that, Mary Ellen?
It is clever.
You want to ask it a question, Christian? Oh, there it goes. Is it clever?
Not even a little bit. Not
Oh.
even 1%.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you're putting.
It's very sensitive.
I think it's totally ridiculous.
Will J.D. Vance win the vice presidential debate?
I don't know, to be honest.
Just like me, I'm not sure.
Well, would you like a presidential predicto, Mary Ellen?
Oh, I don't know what to ask him.
I think it's certainly possible. I think it's probably unlikely.
The things they come up with.
That is funny.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
You can become a millionaire, Christian.
Only in America.
All you got to do is...
How much is that?
I believe that retails for under 30, probably between 20 and 30.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I feel like, who used to get, Rosie O'Donnell. They have
Oh.
sent us some that we will be giving away to the audience members who listen to this station.
Oh.
So we do have more than just one each, and we'll be giving them away as prizes. If you would want a presidential predicto, we'll give you one. Oh no, no staff members, but we will give them to listeners. So the company was very good to us, and I
Were
appreciate
they?
that. Since 2012, they've sent us items.
Oh.
So I'm sure these will go over big.
Oh, they probably will.
Isn't that the most insane thing?
Yeah, yeah.
But this is what it is.
Well, it's clever.
It is
Yeah,
clever, I
it's
think.
clever.
Presidential predicto, a new idea for the 8-ball. Why do you
Yeah, it's a good
think?
idea.
Now, see, you could not do this, I don't believe, with Kamala Harris. I don't think it would have the same effect because I think it's the stuff Trump says.
Part of Trump's persona, he was on TV for a long time. He was a celebrity for a long time.
Yeah.
So there will be more audio clips of him making, off-guarded comments than, Kamala Harris who's been in politics. I'm sure things could be done with, her laugh
What's
in the
the
coconut
warning?
trees and all that stuff.
Will you end up in prison?
I'm going to bet
Oh,
no.
we didn't want to answer that.
Oh, he's...
Will you end up in prison?
Is it on?
No, it isn't.
Did I not flip it on?
No.
There.
Oh, here it goes.
Yes.
Oh, no! Oh, no!
What did you say after that?
It happened.
It happens.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
Now, in
It
the...
looks like it could happen.
oh, no.
Scott, in the interest of fairness, I think you
Here's
should
it.
ask for your Republican listeners: will his convictions be
Overturned.
overturned on appeal?
Will your convictions be overturned on appeal, President Trump?
He's not answering.
Will your convictions be overturned on appeal? Oh, now he's gotten tired. There's some... Oh, there we go.
Okay.
100%.
Oh, so he's...
So-
I'm afraid that's what's going to happen.
So it's undecided on his criminal status.
This is all microchip stuff. This is Intel.
Yeah?
Yeah, these are all done with microchips.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
God willing, we'll still have that Intel plant coming to.
They say it's not going to be ready till 2027.
Well, I mean, finish in 2027, but
I mean,
Hope it-
ready to go, yeah.
Again, ourfriendlyforest.com, and we thank them for sending samples for our listening audience. Now, Mary Ellen, I talked about this off the air. Now, these items are not meant to get anybody to vote a certain way. And honestly, the company owner told me half of the people, Democrats like them because they think it makes fun of Trump.
Yeah,
And Republicans like them because they think it doesn't.
yeah.
So it's for everybody. Maybe that's why he's making the millions that he is.
Well, it's very clever. I got a laugh out of all of them,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is what happens. I mean, I went on a used book website last Christmas and I bought all 6 of my cousins a copy of Art of the Deal.
You bought the book.
Did you?
And
Oh.
they all thought it was funny, and of course they
Yeah.
all threw the book away immediately. But I mean, it was just.
Oh, they threw it away. They just tossed
yeah.
it right in the garbage.
I mean,
Okay.
I mean, they were probably like $2 a piece. So.
Oh, I understand. But it was the
But
thought that
the
counts.
point is, they were people who found Donald Trump funny. That's what a lot of people find, dare I say, I find him funny still sometimes.
Well, see, that's the interesting thing is that I know people who wouldn't vote for Donald Trump in a bazillion years, but they will sit down and watch him give a speech because they find him entertaining.
Yeah, I watched him a lot in
There you go.
2016 because he was funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he was funny, and then he just caught steam. Everyone started to follow him, and then he had a platform to. He just was given a platform, and then it's
And then he got mean.
But do you think
Then he wrote a book.
Well, yeah. Do you think that his people, though, do you think they ever thought that it was funny, or do you think they just believed what he was saying?
They believed it 110%.
Well, that's what.
I didn't believe it, but I like to listen. I like to listen to him.
Well, I know a lot of news networks during that time looked back at that and said, should we have put him on? A lot of people watched, but should we have done it? Because people did believe it. They believed everything he was saying.
Okay, so let's think of the last time there was an open presidential primary before that, 2008. Were the networks putting on just Barack Obama speeches randomly? Were they putting on John McCain speeches when he was... No.
I never saw John McCain's speech.
Well, I mean, he was... Back then, politics was pretty, dare I say, normal, and then when Trump got in...
Yeah, but I never heard him give a speech.
Well, I think Trump drew big crowds. That was appealing to people. I think that he said things. He was a TV star. We already knew who he was. That was appealing to a lot of people. And I think a lot of people thought, I think Hillary Clinton's people thought it was in the bag, that this man could not win regardless. Mm-hmm. So it was quite a shock on election night when she didn't win. So, it became what it became. But, is that going to happen this time? I don't know. How confident are you, Christian, with under 50 days to go?
Under 50 days to go. I think Democrats are certainly mindful. We are, and it's an election where, Democrats sort of have to run the table if they want a governing majority. They need to make the case, just so we have a Democratic trifecta. A lot of people think, oh, it's good if we have a president of one party, you have a Senate of the other party. That's how you get nothing done. That's how, the last 2 years haven't been terribly productive because of the Republican Congress. Yeah. I think people are going to see that. They're going to realize, at least, independents, Democrat, that's going to energize them to get out and vote. And if we can put Trump in the rearview mirror for the second election, maybe people will start to, turn the other way and sort of, return to a sense of, just being rational in politics.
Well, how do you think David Muir handled himself, the anchor of the debate? He took a lot of criticism, still taking it.
As a member of the media, anytime Trump is involved, you're put in a really difficult position. In presidential debates, no candidate has told either things that are not the truth or half-truths or things without so much context than Trump. So the moderator is put in the uncomfortable position of calling him out on it and correcting it. That's why all of Trump's supporters, they attack the mainstream media. The mainstream media is the media who will fact-check Donald Trump. That's kind of where CNN was flawed, and they think they made the right choice in their debate with Trump and Biden by not fact-checking, so they were viewed as more, independent. They had to, because Trump has always attacked them as being the fake news.
But you know what, I'll tell you, a moderator's job, you're always going to lose. Mm-hmm. On a much smaller level, I've moderated the League of Women Voters debates here in town several times. Mm-hmm. I don't think they do debates now. They've turned them into meet and greets because people don't want to debate. But it is a harder job, I do believe, than a presidential debate because it's every race, mm-hmm. and you have a certain amount of time. And I'll tell you, as the moderator, it's very, very difficult. You can't win because you have to keep time. That's your number one thing. You don't want anybody to be talking longer than the other person. And number two, you want to make sure the questions don't seem slanted one way or another. Now, I never came up with the questions. The League of Women Voters, and I assume this was the case when they had the presidential debates, which they haven't had since, I believe, 92 was the last time the League of Women Voters had the national debates. But the questions don't come from the moderator. The moderator didn't write the I never wrote the questions.
Oh, they gave them to you.
The audience submitted them.
Oh, okay.
And people called in and submitted them. Oh. Now, I chose, you would say in the essence of time, but essentially I chose the ones that got on, mm-hmm. depending on time. And you also tried to spread it amongst the different races. But that is a very hard job. Yeah. Because you've got to remember, okay, I ask that person first, that person gets a rebuttal, that person gets an ending, and then you're trying to spread these out. They're handing you questions the entire time. And, sometimes I'm sure you do look slanted. And telling somebody to shut up, which is essentially what you're doing, your time's up, is not a pleasant occasion. And those are very, I never looked, they were fun because it gets all your juices going because there's so much going on. It's live.
Yeah.
But I don't miss doing them. They weren't all that. They were interesting.
Well, this was one thing that I did notice, that the moderators were allowing Trump to sort of yell over his allotted time, but when Kamala Harris, she tried to finish her thought, she was cut off and she stopped.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. I don't know if it was just Trump just. He wouldn't stop, and Kamala Harris, she heard the moderator, they said stop, so she stopped. I don't know, but I feel like that's sort of where the tilt was
But
Trump.
truly, you can't stop anybody.
No, you can't.
Well, they said that Trump had 5 more minutes than he should have had because of that.
I don't know if that helped him though.
No,
because I think a lot of times.
Probably not.
I mean that's why he's not doing a second debate. At least now he's not doing a second debate because the more he talks, the more he is likely to say something that's going to turn people off.
Do you think he has any respect for her? Because that question came up.
No.
He wouldn't even look at her.
No, I mean I think part of it is he's scared of her.
I think so too.
But he respected Hillary Clinton. I saw some clips on Twitter.
Chris Christie said that.
I mean, personally, they had been, Trump was big in New York Democratic politics for a long time. She was the U.S. Senator for New York for a long time.
He donated to her campaign.
I know. They butted heads. Not butted heads. They rubbed elbows frequently.
He went to her, or she went to his wedding.
She went to the wedding, yes.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more calm. He was a lot softer in 2016. He was respectful, sort of her. You think of the town hall debate where he was following her, not so much.
Said he was going to lock her up.
I
don't know if that was all that.
The way that he was just a lot calmer in those debates, and I think it's because he wasn't so threatened by her. He was willing to, go more toe to toe, and
I hate to say this because it does come back, but I do think some of this has to do with age in Trump. I think that it's been 8 years. That's a fairly significant amount of time. Certainly was for Joe Biden. 4 years made a difference. Trump, it's interesting because I was looking at him at the debate, and we all age, but he looked to me just to be a little older. He looked a little, it wasn't so much, as you say, he was funny before. I don't think the comments are meant to be funny anymore.
No,
I think
they're
he
not.
was trying to be funny, and I think that's out the window now.
I think in 2016, his, the nicknames he gave people, things like that, they were kind of, humorous. Now they're just like, I hate you, and you're a traitor, and all that. So I think inside he's older, but he's realizing that his bit is becoming a little older. He'd never expected it to go this far. Now he's become the Lord and Savior for probably 45% of the country, and he's got to carry that. He just has to carry that banner from here on out.
Well, that was a smart way for her to start the debate, saying, listen, you've heard it for 8 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same old show. It's going to be lies, and here you go. And I thought that was a strong way to start that debate. Because it kind of laid the groundwork, and she could just revert back to that at any point and say, I told you, this is what he was going to do. But the Trump, he still polls half of this country, nearly 47%, like this guy and are going to vote for him.
Well, this is the really unfortunate thing about how our system is. 47% of the country will, they're for Trump. The other 47 is for Kamala. 6% of the country, undecided voters, and what I have read, undecided voters who give interviews to newspapers, they're not very high. They're not that highly educated, so they're susceptible to hearing really anything that comes their way. The future of our republic is in their hands, and that's kind of a scary thing when you have 50,000 voters across 6 states who will determine the election. It just doesn't really sit right with me.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting to me, that the Trump sentencing date on the 34 felony counts is in November, late
It's
November.
been pushed back twice.
Isn't
Yeah,
it
but
terrible?
but this time they said we're not going to push it back. I think it was denied.
Yeah.
Okay. So if he wins, he's going to be sentenced.
He's gonna, yeah,
I mean, theoretically.
take care of himself.
Well, but it's interesting to me because now what happens? Let's say Donald Trump wins in November.
He's gonna kill a lot of people.
Well, if
Steve Colbert better move to another country.
well, that came up in the debate that he apparently has a list of people who
Yeah.
he's gonna.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not on the list.
But it's fascinating because let's say he wins the election on November the 5th. He would not take office until January 20th. He's going to be sentenced on like November 25th or 26th. If he's sentenced in late November, if he's sentenced to prison time, they're going to take him right then. Now, he hasn't taken office yet, even though he's won the presidency. So, what happens then?
Well, they wouldn't. This case has been so unorthodox. They're not going to take him right away. They're going to let him self-surrender. But
So you just leave when, though? I don't think you.
Well, probably they'll keep getting it pushed off. Like you've seen his aides, like Steve Bannon. He kept getting it pushed off. Until he was pardoned. Roger Stone kept getting it pushed off.
Yeah, but now listen. If the judge that's a little different, though. If the man is the president-elect and you sentence him to prison time, and you know he's going to take office in January, I think your philosophy on pushing it back is a little different at that point.
I think at that point you're the judge and you have to. Lots of judges, they tell everyone that they rule based on the law and the law alone. The judge will throw all that out the window, and his reasoning, he'll sentence Trump to probation or a fine, and he'll just say the people have spoken, that he's the president, he has a job to do. And
what if he loses?
Then that's a whole different story. If Trump loses, then it's really game over for him. I think
He goes to prison.
I don't think in this case he'll go to prison. I think there's going to be a new attorney general, someone who's much more passionate about January 6th, and because it still amazes me how people swept that under the rug. My brother, who's 16, he's reading the Constitution in his government class. He was last week. He came home that night and he asked me, how can Trump run for president still? Hasn't he violate? I forgot what part of the Constitution it was.
Sedition.
How wasn't January 6th sedition? How can Donald Trump run? He's 16. He's not that into politics, yet he's making that observation. So there's going to
not convicted of anything.
Not yet, but we're gonna if people we're gonna have a new attorney general they're gonna.
You think?
Yes, I think Merrick Garland has been. He was only there because Joe Biden probably felt some sympathy for how he was treated by when he was put up for the Supreme Court. He'll put up some young energetic lawyer who understands what I just said about how January 6th was a horrible thing, and how Trump kind of burst the seams open a little bit. Regardless of what happens in the election, his rhetoric they'll just go wide open. The dams will break, and it has to be stopped somehow. Now, you go into dangerous territory there. As we have a new attorney general, his people will say that you just won. You're just trying to eliminate your political opponents even further. So the new attorney general will have a tough job. To seek justice for everyone who was impacted that day, but to not cross the line of we're doing this to shut you up.
It's going to be an interesting 40 days, Mary Ellen.
Well, he was convicted of 34 felons. How can you guys say he's not been convicted?
Well,
no, I think he has been convicted.
Yeah.
I think there is a chance he'll go to prison. I don't know that that's sold down the river. I can't imagine it is. I'm not for sure he will, but I don't think it's off the table.
No.
I think odds are it's not prison, because that would inflame the country to an even greater point. But We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Soon.
It's been a fun episode to get together. Again, if you want any of these items, you can go to ourfriendlyforest.com, and we'll be giving some away on the station here as prizes. And we thank them for sending us. It's always for sending these items, and we thank Christian and Mary Ellen for joining us. It's always a fun conversation. And who knows what's going to happen in the next 40-something days
Yes.
as we head into November 5th.
Yes.
For Christian and Mary Ellen, Scott Spears heading for the dugout.